Barry, so maybe let's discuss what you were getting into with the one diminished seven, how that fits into all of this.
Yeah, it's a different situation completely, and I always think of it as just kind of a beautiful color on the one major seven sound, and it's historically, it's in our ear already because you and I probably
Mhm.
spoke about this when you were at UNF, but it's in the Nat King Cole version of Misty. You know when you have, that's how we've all learned it, but we get this. So I'm playing a D major triad right here on top, with the E flat and the bass. Here's the diminished part, but there's the major seven. It's, as you can see, it's a bit of a stretch. I'm doing this intentionally so I can keep the melody to Misty in the top voice. It's much easier to play like that. D major over E flat, but that's what you're getting. Essentially, you're creating this slash chord harmony for a moment. I use it all of the time, and I will say that there are specific places that it will always work as far as the melody notes. In other words, for Misty, we have this, right? Which sounds amazing. By the way, it also sounds great with the fifth, and then you resolve. With the
Yeah.
song. But what ends up happening is that I'm going to jump up here only because I can get to all the things I want to tell you about. But when you're playing, if you want to do that one diminished sub, and I guess the big question is, how am I thinking about that? In this case,
Yeah.
I'm thinking about it as as a whole half. But that whole thing we spoke about earlier about the two different minor chords doesn't do anything at this particular moment, other than the fact that it may be easier to think of it just in general as a diminished scale, as two minors. But as far as its relation to the chord itself, it's not helping me out at all.
Okay.
But I will say that there are four notes that are diatonic to the one chord that the diminished tone fits. I mean, the diminished chord fits perfectly over, and that's the ninth, the seventh, the sixth, and the sharp 11. I'll demonstrate all of those. So if you had a 2-5, and you would normally do that, right? 2-5-1, you could do. So that's the ninth. So here's an example of the seventh, which is what Misty is. It's beautiful. Here's the sixth on top. And the last one is the sharp 11 of the major chord. Create these little melodies out of it. But those four tones, the ninth, seventh, sixth, sharp 11, all tones that are diatonic to the major chord itself, can be harmonized with diminished. So there are so many tunes that do that, where it's a great substitution on any given standard tune during the course of a melody even. And I think, if you're working with a singer or a saxophone player, those kind of moments are really, really nice because you're surprising the person who's doing the playing or singing of the melody. And to me, it lifts the music up for a brief second. That major chord just lifts it up, and then it's like this, it's a surprise thing, and then you just relax into it, like another voicing in a better part of the guitar, maybe. And I think there are some tunes that have this built in, don't? Right? You know this song, "If I Should Lose You." It's that. So it's built into that, everything we're talking about right now, as a matter of fact. The first one is D7 flat 9 to G minor, right? There's the one diminished sound.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's fantastic. I just put on new strings. So is that helpful? The one diminished thing?
Yeah, that's really helpful. Because I know we see that, like you mentioned, also "If I Should Lose You" in a bunch of different standards, and it seems to have no relationship to that 5-1. So then people get confused by it. So that's great clarification.
Right. It's just interesting. Honestly, I did not plan for that. It just popped into my head. But what's great about that is you have the two most common ways we do that in the first 8 measures of this song.
Yeah.
If I Should Lose You. So that's like an ideal. You just made me think this is a great tune when I'm working with this with students at UNF. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the go-to tune. And that's the whole thing. You know, for one, quite honestly, a lot of improvisers, including myself, might not even pay more attention to that during the soloing because it happens for such a brief moment.
Mm-hmm.
But if I were to extend it, in other words, for practicing,
yeah.
So I'm just doubling the length of the actual chord progression.
Mm-hmm.
But, all I'm doing right now is just playing from D7 flat 9 for 2 measures to G minor. And in that case, just trying to accentuate the sound of that diminished chord. And then, here, again, it's a great way to practice just soloing over that one major sound. Let me make one point as long as I'm here.
Yeah.
Like there are certain voicings that just put you in like the ideal spot. We've talked about the symmetry of diminished. And these are one of these moments that really helped me out a lot. So for instance, here's your original diminished chord. This E flat diminished. Again, this is all coming from that If I Should Lose You moment we just had. So, you've all heard Joe Pass do that. We have a whole step above the top tone. But because, again, of the symmetry of the diminished scale, you could do the same thing on the B string as well. And that's that, I think of this as the Jim Hall chord.
Yeah.
Sounds amazing. But what I'm getting at is that when I do that on the middle set, I could clearly see D major here, right? So I don't remember if I was thinking about this when you and I were together at UNF, but I think of this as kind of one of the bookends of the diminished scale itself. In other words, if I was here, if I took the top 4 strings from here, 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, it just alternates, right? But because of the nature of the symmetry of this, I have another triad here. So whenever I see that chord, I know that I have diminished right out there or here. I'm playing a bunch of diminished lines right now, but this helps me visualize the neck so clearly. On the one that's in the top set, let me get it out of that particular key. So I could see that triad here now, and that sets me up. So all these helpful things for me are seeing the major triad that comes from. I know I got some heavy deep water over here.
Yeah, those are definitely areas I had on the list. So whichever of those you want to get into is totally cool.
Just to say that
what you just watched comes from our Jazz Master Sessions. Now that's a clip of a longer masterclass. Every single month, I get one of the world's best jazz guitarists into Chase's Guitar Academy, and we have an hour masterclass session. And these are very focused masterclasses. This isn't just a general Q&A, although there is time for questions at the end. We focus on a very specific topic and go deep. The 2 ways you can access the Jazz Master Sessions is either the recordings via the basic plan of Chase's Guitar Academy, or as the standard plan, you actually get to attend these live and interact with these masters. In the past, we've had guys like Dan Wilson, John Story, Stefan Remble, Barry Greene, Rodney Jones, Will Brahm, Chico Pinheiro, so many more. It's a really great time. I know you'll love it. I always get such great feedback, and students have so many amazing breakthroughs and insights after watching and attending these that I invest the money into the students so that they can access this. It's not cheap, but I think it's a great thing to do for the members, and nowhere else does this. So if you want access, sign up, 14-day free trial for Chase's Guitar Academy. Either of the options you'll be able to access. Thanks, and I'll see you in another video.